Hello everyone, welcome to Morale Boost, this new podcast that I'm starting here on Morale to talk about all things outdoors, nature, mushrooms, getting people outside, all the good stuff that we should be doing more of. Today we're joined by Stephanie Jillings, who so happens to also be the mother of my two beautiful children. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Tell me about who you are, where you grew up.
Tell you.
Tell me, who
I've known
are
you
you?
a decade.
Who are you who have had my children and have lived with me for 10 years? Who are you?
Yeah, I'm Stephanie Jillings. I am from Maine in the U.S., rural Maine. I grew up in the middle of the woods. It was actually a really nice childhood. It's like something that I really want for our kids as well. The goal is to have land and just have them like running around picking blueberries and strawberries for a snack, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the dream, isn't it?
So yeah, I grew up in Maine. My whole life everyone said, oh, you'd be a good teacher, you'd be a good teacher. I think I just went with it because that's what everyone said I was good at, or that I would be good at. So I got my teaching degree, and it took me like 7 years, and it's only supposed to take you 4. And I think it took me 7 years because I just kept switching like
degrees.
Yeah, it was like early ed and then K through 8.
You graduated in 2017.
Yeah.
You worked in Barcelona for a little bit. That was a fun little trip, wasn't it?
Yeah, my passion was working with students who didn't speak English as their first language. I think that passion is still there, but I've obviously found this new passion of working outside with children. I graduated in 2017. We immediately got pregnant with Silas, so I didn't have my own public school classroom. And I'm kind of really glad looking back now that I didn't. And I just knew that I didn't want to anyway because it's too, I don't know, I just didn't feel comfortable in the classrooms. Like there's too much going on, too many kids for me to be responsible for. I'm a bit neurodivergent, so there was just too much on the walls, too many noises. And I was a stay-at-home mom for like 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years or something like that, yeah.
And so we relocated to the UK. We knew that we didn't want to put the kids into a public school system for many reasons. So did you get distracted by that bird?
Yeah.
Me too.
That's why I want to do the podcast outside, though. So we do hear the birds and the wind and all that lot.
Yeah, it's nice.
So we came over here. We didn't want to put them in a public school.
Yeah, luckily we just like plopped ourselves in this town. I'm not going to say where. I almost did that.
Yeah. Almost doxed us.
But then like 20 minutes up the road is a forest school. And I feel like they're becoming more of a thing, especially attached to public schools. But it's rare that there's actual...
Just a forest school.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw, when we first came over, when we were thinking about putting the kids in primary school, we saw a few primary schools that had forest school, maybe departments or areas.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a forest school, it was a primary school with a garden, basically. Yeah. Whereas we found an actual forest school that is just a forest school.
And it has a home ed club. And most of them are, just nurseries for younger kids. So yeah, we put the kids in, and then I was figuring out like, what do I want to do with my life? Obviously I want to contribute financially, but I was feeling a push to do more than just be a mom. I still am. I'm still trying to figure that out, but a job opportunity at that forest school opened up like 2 months after we put the kids in.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
You manifested it.
And I also manifested this amazing community that came with it. Like,
seriously, some amazing people.
It's like my chosen family.
They are amazing people.
And I've learned so much. I don't know. I've been healed by nature, I think. I know that sounds like woo and like crazy, but I absolutely love it.
I think that's totally hits the spot.
I hated being outside in Maine. Well, not in the other 3 seasons, but in winter.
In the winter, it's harsh in Maine.
Yeah.
At what point at what point did it click? What did a forest school click for us? At what point did we think that's what we want to do? I know, obviously, some people may know this from my YouTube channel. We lived on a bus for 2 years and travelled the US. It was beautiful. It was amazing. The kids were outside pretty much all the time. But I don't remember a specific time where we were like, they're going in forest schools. Did we hear about it? Or?
I didn't even think that I knew what a forest school was when we were in America.
Yeah, so
or maybe towards the end of it, and I don't know how.
It must have just kind of the term must have just.
I'm
popped
sure
into
I saw.
our head.
I'm sure I saw something on Instagram.
Yeah, probably Instagram. yeah.
And then I was like, ooh, that'd be fun.
So, you are now working at this forest school. People probably have a lot of questions about what the hell forest school is.
Yeah.
And why? Like, why would we choose to put Silas and Juniper in a forest school rather than a public school? We could probably both answer this, to be honest with you, but I feel like coming from yourself, who is actually trained in that field of expertise, is probably the better to explain it.
Well, why did you want to put them in?
Why did I?
I don't feel like I had to convince you much.
No, I think I fell out of love with public school because it didn't hit with me.
Or maybe it was all the horror stories I told you.
Well, it could have been that.
From working in public school.
But at the same time, I think, so obviously I grew up in Failsworth in Manchester, in Rochdale, in that area, and it was very urbanised. And I fell in love with nature at a young age, listening to like Ray Mears and stuff like that. And then I counteracted that by doing IT in high school. And then I counteracted that because I didn't like that by going in the Marines. And
then you went back to computer science.
And then I went back to computer science. And then what I found was every time I kept like yo-yoing between the two is I was always drawn back to being outside.
Yeah.
And no matter what happened, I always just felt better. And I don't know why that clicked for the kids, but it just made me think like, the big thing for me is Silas, who's 6. He's so energetic. I think June would be okay in a regular school, but Silas would just get labels put on him, and he wouldn't be able to just sit in a box and sit there and learn. It's not him.
Yeah, and I feel like at a certain age, especially like working in the forest school, I feel like I've got really good at looking at a kid and being like, okay, well, they'd probably do okay in a regular school. Or, well, no, this kid would probably struggle just because of all the restraints and yeah, like you said, like putting them in a box. Unfortunately, they just wouldn't get what they need from it.
Right. So obviously having that outdoor space would be incredibly beneficial for these kids who have a lot of energy. But why forest school? Why not just give them a big gymnasium? Do you know what I mean? Like, why? Like, and I'm probably putting you on the spot here a little bit, but like, why have the kids out in nature? Because in my opinion, I love the fact that Silas can name trees, he can name mushrooms, he can do all this stuff, right? People would say that in the modern world, that's never going to benefit him getting a job. Maybe it will if it goes into a certain field, right? But why put kids in a forest school instead of a regular school? Or is it something you would recommend doing it in tangent, like parallel with a regular school?
I think that's better than nothing, obviously.
Right.
But like being in nature 8 hours a day, rain or shine, I don't know, it like builds character, and obviously your emotions are more easily regulated outside in nature, and I've definitely noticed that with the kids that we work with. Like you said, they learn about the natural world around them, which is very important regardless of like a job in the future. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sorry to be like dark, but there might not even be a future at one point.
So I filmed a introduction video before this, and it was the episode that's out before this. It's very brief, and I talked about AI and how the internet is just going to be swarmed with AI, and nothing will become factual on the internet anymore, and I want to really set a standard for morale of all the stuff that is between humans. So that's all social media posts, all podcasts, all pictures, all videos. It's all done by human and human creativity, editing, the whole lot. Because the moment we start relying on AI for any sort of creative outlet, the less human we're going to be.
Yeah.
How does that apply to kids, do you reckon, with school? We're seeing a lot more screens in school, a lot of social media. Oh my God, we watched Adolescence together.
Yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, but yeah, how would you say that pull of technology compared to being outside? Like, what's the contrast? Would would there be different behavioral traits? Would there be physical
Well, yeah,
traits
we've
that are
even
different?
noticed it in our own kids. Like, they used to have an iPad when we traveled around the U.S.
Yeah, they did,
for
yeah.
like long car journeys, which is fine every now and again, I guess. But
Mm.
it's also important for kids to just be bored and like look out the window.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like their attention spans are becoming less if they're constantly around screens. And like when our kids had more screens in their lives, they would definitely have more behavioral issues.
They were definitely more irritable.
Yeah.
And fidgety.
And we would see the difference if we did like a screen cleanse. I don't know if is that the word.
Cleanse.
Yeah.
Screen cleanse.
If we did one like a week later, we'd like within a week we would see a difference.
Yeah, we would definitely see a difference. I guess you could also apply all these benefits that you see these days for nature and being outside, like getting your hands in soil can help the enzymes, help you fight depression. All this stuff also applies to kids. Like they're going out there, they're getting muddy, they're probably eating a bit of dirt.
Oh, definitely.
Growing, you're like, yeah, they definitely do every day. Yeah. Growing their bacteria in the body.
They'll literally drink from puddles, and I'm like, guys, chill the beans.
So yeah, you also like there's no.
We don't really have toys.
You don't have toys. If there's arguments between children, it's a lot different than the regular structure of school, isn't it?
Yeah, we're not like authoritarian. We gentle parent, and I know, like, depending on who you are and what you've seen on social media or what you've researched, you might perceive gentle parenting differently than someone else. But essentially, we're just helping them like foster relationships between each other, be kind to each other, learn to empathize with each other, like how to navigate tricky moments on their own. Like often some kids will they're like, okay, so I work with kids like 2 to 10 now, but in the nursery side of things it's 2 to 4, and like some of these 4-year-olds will be like gentle parenting their peers, and it's amazing. Like they will take what things that we've said, because like our whole team uses certain phrases and it's pretty much very consistent, and I think it's helped the kids a lot. But they'll like use the same phrases as us, and it's really amazing.
That is really cool. I think it is nurturing the kids more than setting a standard they have to reach.
Yeah, they're nurtured in nature.
Nurtured in nature.
That's what we do, guys.
Nurture in nature. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I absolutely love it. This is the first job that I could say that I love what I do. And yeah, I wouldn't change it. The nursery for school unfortunately closed, but we're child minding from the same location, so it's the same but different. And then me and a friend that I worked with at the nursery, we took over the home ed group, so we run that. It's called Growing Wild Community. Just
I'll
a
leave
cheeky
links.
little plug.
I'll leave links.
And yeah, we're just doing our own thing. We're looking for land eventually, because we want to expand it and do more throughout the week. But we have a home ed club, so that's basically play-based, child-led. So they just get to be creative and imaginative and hang out with their friends and socialize. And then we run a seasonal nature club. So it's like 3 to 4 sessions every season. And it's like less child-led and more like activity-based. Next week, Monday, we're going to be doing like pond dipping and exploring the nature reserve, our local nature reserve nearby, which is literally like a 60-second walk from the
very,
gardens.
very close.
It's amazing.
I mean, it's a beautiful location.
Yeah.
Tell me about the seasons. I know a lot of people, when I've spoke to them about forest school, especially if it's like dead of winter. Or
Yeah.
we live in England. We live in the northwest of England,
The winters are pretty mild,
the winters
but it
are mild,
definitely
but it
still
rains,
gets cold.
and it rains a
Yeah.
lot. So how do you tackle them days where it might be really, really cold or really, really wet, and you're with a bunch of kids and it's an outdoor space?
Yeah. I'm just like thinking of the winter to come. And it's
Yeah.
definitely still my least favorite season, but I think since working here, I've had more appreciation for it. I've
Yeah.
learned more appreciation for it. But working with kids, especially when it's really cold, is really tricky because they're gaining resilience, but you can tell that obviously sometimes it's still uncomfortable. They have loads of layers. Like, we require the parents to bring like multiple layers. If they get wet, we need to constantly change them. So like in the winter, it's kind of like more of a survival mode for us.
Survival mode.
Yeah, and the kids still play like, and when it's raining, it's funny that you ask that because it's only adults who are like, what do you do when it's raining? Because we don't
Yeah.
we have a cabin, but the kids, we don't really have them in there all the time.
And you do have a fire pit.
Yeah, and it's under like a polycarbonate like little shelter area.
And one really cute thing that Juniper told me is that you put pebbles underneath the fire pit, and if the little kids are cold, you let them hold a warm pebble.
Yeah, they love it.
It's one of the cutest things I've ever heard in my life. Just thinking of little Juniper in the cold, just holding a pebble, sitting around a fire. That's character building right there, isn't it? It's
and
beautiful.
we sit around the fire, sing songs. Like, so we have a wood stove in the cabin. If it's really cold, we have the shelter where the fire pit is underneath, where we can warm up. But most of the time, like, the kids are less bothered about it than the adults. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when it's raining, I'm like, I have my waterproof little hat on, my waterproof jacket, my waterproof trousers, and the kids are running around with like just a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And we don't force them to like dress a certain way. We want them to really take control and be intuitive with their bodies. So we will constantly offer like, oh, would you like your coat on? It looks like you're getting pretty wet. And they'll make these decisions. If they end up an hour later complaining that they're really cold, then we will use that as a teaching moment and be like, oh, well, you've left your raincoat out in the rain, because we also don't like just pick up after them all the time. We want them to be responsible for their things. So you left your raincoat out in the rain and it's got all wet. Remember when we mentioned that earlier, maybe you could have hung it up next time. And honestly, it does work.
And you're very observant as well. Like, obviously, if a kid is sat there shaking, you're not gonna just be like, would you like a coat? You're gonna be like, come and get your coat.
Yeah, the number one thing that I learned for the winter is if a child seems a bit more like uncomfortable or like irritable than usual, we'll bring them into the cabin, take their shoes off, like their boots off, warm their feet up with a hot water bottle, because 9 times out of 10 it's just their feet or their hands are cold.
Yeah.
So we'll just warm them up. Yeah, we don't just like leave them to like freeze to death, obviously. But like in the more mild seasons, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna end with one final question.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And I'm sure we'll have you on again and we can pick your brain about getting kids outside. But that is the question. I think it's just a bit of grass or something.
I thought it was a little bug.
The average person in the UK, their kids go to primary school, to high school, right? They work a 9 to 5. They're busy. The kids are in school all day. They're in work all day. They only have the weekends. What is one or two things that these parents can do to harness this power of nature for their child? What's the one thing that they can practice on a daily basis, or set themselves a bit of a goal on a daily basis to help them kids enjoy and learn and thrive in nature?
I don't know about like a practice. There is that 1,000 hours outside. So if you want to like tally each day, that could be something fun for the kids to do, where they like fill in a little tiny like square or piece of a picture.
There's like 1,000
Yeah,
squares, isn't
yeah.
there? And they've got to tick. They've got to colour it
That
all
could
in
be-
with by the end of the year.
That could be a fun family thing. I mean, it is unfortunate that that's the way that society is, because there are so many parents that I speak with in the nursery side of things where their kids will eventually go to public school and they wish that they could homeschool. During holidays, like seek out holiday clubs. Like, we haven't started ours yet, but we will be. And like public school kids there's so many places in the UK where you can get your kids into a holiday club that's based outside.
So explain what a holiday club is, just real briefly.
Yeah, so it's like during the public school breaks. So like if they have a week off. So for instance, like we at the forest school would run a holiday club. So for the week, it gives public school kids the chance to come and join our groups and spend time learning like bushcraft and stuff like that, and learning and just being in nature and socializing in nature.
So basically utilizing them holidays and maximizing their time outside and away from screens.
Or something that we used to do is we used to either go for like a morning family walk and be outside and just like observe nature, like put your phones away, keep them in the house, or choose to do it before or after tea.
Yeah.
And that's like, it doesn't have to be in this amazing like nature reserve. It could just be like walking down your street.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be perfect weather either.
No.
It can be raining a little bit, and maybe that's okay.
It's all about the gear, guys.
Yeah, prepare.
Just get some waterproofs.
Well, I
and you'll be fine.
appreciate you being here to do this with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping we can have you on a few more times. What I may do
I'll
is...
rope Emma in to come in next time.
Yes, do. Maybe a few of the other people who work at the forest school as well. What I will do is, if you are watching this on YouTube, or if there may be some way down below, you can email luke@drinkmorale.com. We will get a bunch of questions together as well for people who are interested in forest school, who have questions about it.
That'd be fun.
And we can throw them at you.
Yeah.
I'll physically print them off and throw them at you.
During
each episode, and that way people can ask more prevalent questions to their situation at hand, and I think that would be really useful. But thank you for being here.
No worries.
You can catch this podcast on all the usual places that podcasts are at. There's a cute little bug right there, and I don't know what it is. Do you see it?
No.
I've been eyeing it up
Go get it.
this whole podcast. I'm gonna get it real quick. What are you, little guy? Oh, it's a moth. It's a moth. Look at that.
Is it okay?
It looks okay.
Whoa.
I'm going to bring it to the camera real quick. You might be able to see it. But it's been like lingering in the corner of my eye.
Do you have like a favorite bug?
Do I have a favourite bug? Is that what you asked me?
Yeah, in the UK.
A favourite bug in the UK? Is a bumblebee a bug?
Yeah.
Bumblebees
They're
are
massive
sick.
here.
They're amazing. They're just little like fur balls that just fly around.
In the US, for all you US people, it's like the size. It's like bigger than the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
Sometimes like a 50-cent. Do we have those? I forgot.
You have a 50 cent. Although I don't think you'll get a bumblebee as big as 50 cent. Yeah, I think that's a whole nother podcast talking about the difference between nature here in the US.
Oh, yeah.
Like the robins, how different they are, and how dangerous nature can be in America. Maybe
I feel like we just vibe in here when we go camping. Like,
I know.
worried about nothing at all.
I know. We'll save that.
But it's like good and bad. Yeah, we'll save it.
We'll save it. I think that's a great subject for another episode. You can catch Drink Morale Boost. I was going to say Drink Morale then. That's the socials. You can follow at Drink Morale on all the socials. You can follow this podcast. There should be like subscribe buttons and stuff, especially if you're on YouTube. Morale Boost. I'm excited to get more people on. This is a very exciting moment for Morale because this is like the calm before the storm.
I know.
The drink's going to come out in a couple months.
Yeah.
And we're making content, we're relaxing, we're kind of being creative, but before you know it, we're going to have cans in hand, doing interviews. I want to go to Delamere Forest and interview people in person. It's going to be cool. But stay tuned. I don't know how frequent these podcasts are going to be out just yet, but stay tuned, stay subscribed, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for being here.
Bye.
Grow together. I'm trying to think of like a catchphrase to end these on.
Ask the people to come up with a catchphrase.
I did something really good at the end of the last one. I can't remember what it was. Keep growing. Get outside. Keep growing. Get outside. And something. I don't know.
What are your ideas?
What are your ideas for a catchy phrase at the end of this? Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.